BBA 104, Indian Ethos and Business Ethics, Unit 7, Indian Ethical Theories and Management. First, let's understand what the word ethic means. The word ethics is derived from the Greek word ethos, which means character or conduct. Ethics is also called as moral philosophy or philosophical thinking about morality. The morality has been further elaborated as an action and behavior which is concerned with good or evil of particular traditions, groups, or individual. The term moral and ethical is often used as equivalent to right or good as opposed to immoral and unethical. It does not mean morally right or morally good, but it definitely pertains to morality. Ethics is that science which is concerned with moral behavior or with right or wrong and good or evil of human behavior. It propounds those principles which make our conduct moral. Ethics is something that guides us as a society. If we live in a society which has no guideline and has nothing that is correct considered good or bad, we might turn into harmful towards each other. We might stop thinking of betterment for the other person. And that is why morality and ethics is very important for any society to grow and to develop. Let's discuss the nature of ethics. Ethics refer to guide what human ought to do, usually in terms of right, obligations, fairness, and specific virtue. It is related to issues of propriety, rightness, and wrongness. What is right in ethical? What is wrong in unethical? Sometimes the word proper, fair, and just are also used in the place of right and ethical. Ethics is a normative science. It is mainly concerned with what ought to be done rather than what is the case. It differs from positive science. A positive science is concerned with the facts and explains them by their causes. But ethics deals with values. It evaluates standards or norms by which we can judge human action to be right or wrong. Ethics is a science of character. It as science has its own particular sphere. It deals with certain judgments that we make about human conduct. In the modern of Muirhead, in the word of Muirhead, ethics is not merely concerned with temporal behavior, but forms the basis of legal decision. Ethics is not a practical science. It is not a practical science. It only guides us to achieve a specific goal. Its way is not like practical science, which is a means for the realization of an end or ideals. Ethics is not an art. Art depends upon result while ethics is based on motive. In the words of McKinsey, in art, the ultimate appeal is to work achieved, whereas in morals, the ultimate appeal is to the inner harmony. Art especially deals with acquisition of skills to produce objects. So ethics is different from art because it consists of goodness, which is really intrinsic end. So, what it talks about here is that we do not have a white and black when it comes to ethics and morality. Some things might seem ethical to one person because their value system is different, but again, there are certain things which are considered ethical according to everybody, which also here is being referred to as that ethics forms a basis for legal decision. Like if I go, not I go, if one person goes and murders the other person, no matter what was the situation, we might get facts. It might seem justified to some people that the murderer was being tortured, was did it in self-defense, but at the end the legal system has been taken in your hands. You have taken an ethical decision of killing somebody. So to some people it might seem just, to some people it might not seem just, but again there is a basis for legal decision making here. And so we can say ethics can differ from for person to person, and that is why it cannot be considered as a practical science. It's not an art because you're not fulfilling any senses or their requirements with it. It is a normative science because it guides you to achieve certain result, and that's its purpose. Now let's discuss the scope of ethics. Ethics refer to guide what human ought to do, usually in terms of right, obligations, fairness, and specific virtue. Ethics is the branch of philosophy which focuses on the systematic study of human behavior and actions that follow according to what constitutes rightful act and wrongful act for the person. Some questions which ethic tries to investigate are: is our action right or wrong? Is it dependent? It is dependent on the circumstance. Or should it be a codified law which ought to be followed in any circumstance? Can there be difference between what constitutes our rights and our responsibilities, a limitation to these rights? What is the most perfect of leading a good life? So these kind of questions, ethics tries to help you introspect and investigate the action of how have you taken the action. Was your achieving a end from these means was a ethical path or not? All of those sort of things is what ethics deal with. Give me a minute to think of an example to explain this further to all of you. Okay, I'll share that once I have that in my mind. Ethics is a guidebook of moral rule. Human beings are endowed with distinctive faculty of pure reason. Sorry. They possess a conscience which is different from consciousness. Aristotle called man a social animal. It means to have human interference to stay in the state of sociability, and their contradictory instincts of survival and domination constantly pushed him to confront the dilemma of selfishness and selflessness. So, Aristotle said that man is a social animal, and there is a way that they want to be accepted, validated, appreciated in the society. When you're trying to achieve that goal, there's always a dilemma of selfishness and selflessness to achieve that. And to survive, you might pursue something which is considered unethical or selfish to some, unselfless to some. In fact, to your own self, you might justify and say that it was ethical. I did nothing wrong. So there is always a gray when it comes to ethics. There is always a justification in some end when it comes to ethics. And that's what we've been discussing in this unit. We will discuss ethics in details and in details and in context of Indian value system in the further units. This is a short unit to give you just an outline of what ethics is. Thank you.